Good morning. It's Friday, January 16th, 2026. This is the first meeting of the year for the Dryden Public Broadband Committee. This meeting, as the first meeting of the month, is the reporting meeting for the month of December. So we'll look through all of what happened in the business in December. And since it's already January 16th, we'll look a little bit about what's going on so far in January. And as we look back a little bit into what happened in December, we'll look forward to what 2026 brings. I like to start the meeting with the mission of Dryden Fiber, make sure we're focused, and then we'll switch over to the reporting deck and we'll go through that. So, do you have a volunteer who can read and share their thoughts on our mission?
I'll read it.
Oh, thanks, Tony.
You have it up there, right? Our mission is to provide reliable, affordable, high-speed, fiber-based internet access. We offer state-of-the-art technology and unmatched customer service.
And now you've been a customer for going on 6 months?
Has it been that long? Oh, yeah, because August, right? Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
close to that.
Yeah.
Uh, it's been, you know, the really it's the service that's extremely stable and um, you know, I haven't had need to contact customer support, but um
That's all right. You don't have
the
to.
I know the installation and everything, everything else went really well. So I think, trying to, just give really good service to Dryden is what we're all about.
Excellent. Good.
For not
Uh,
too much money.
for not too much money. I did hear from someone who was bragging about living in a rural upstate, not in Tompkins County, about using satellite-based service. And they were bragging because it was only $125 a month for 300 meg.
Yeah,
But they live in a place where the other option was like dial-up
right,
or DSL.
right.
So I think when we get to Dryden and eventually Caroline residents who have opted for that good amount of speed, 300 for 125, they'll be happy to switch.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Thanks, Tony. Let's start with the reporting deck. I did already share this. Typically, we report this to the Public Broadband Committee and then send it on to the town board. But due to the calendar, I presented this to the town board, at least the first three slides yesterday. Um, we have a lot more than three. I think Dan counted. There's like 30 slides. So we'll do a deep dive today with the Broadband Committee, and as questions come up or conversations, decisions, we'll look at those too. We'll kick it off with the executive summary. As of the first of the year, we have 514 paying customers. We added 15 in December. We might have added 16 and lost one or two. We had some moves. We did have 52 inbound requests in the month of December. To date, as of yesterday, we've already had 85 inbound requests in January. So it was a little slower in December, leading right up until the tax bills got delivered at the end of the month. We had a huge increase, both in Caroline and Dryden at the beginning of this month. Monthly revenue for December had another $795 to bring us up to 28,000 in December. We did add 0 new parcels in December, so we remain at 1,815, which is 30.9, 31% of the town of Dryden. No change there. On the Freeville extension project, continues. There have been some delays. This is the 900 new parcels north, northwest, and northeast of the village of Freeville. Some of the challenges that we're working through, one is electrical make ready with transformers, which we've been working a lot closer with NYSEG. Seems like it's a little bit better, but just a big uh, a big slowdown in productivity. We can talk about that in a little bit more detail in a couple minutes. Circuit design work is, I think, will be done either either this week or at the end of next week. Some of that's due to the audit and just re-looking at everything we're doing for the plans to give to Syracuse Utilities who were awarded that bid. so they can go and do the splicing and bring in the MSTs to get people connected. We do not have the circuit design work completed as of yesterday. And then with
Dave,
regard to, go ahead, Graham.
sorry, is that holding us up yet or not?
Um, I can show you the map of where we built, which is a lot of the underground within the Freeville expansion project. But there's so many other connections between there that are aerial back to the Freeville pop that it's not necessarily holding us up. If we had it, they could start doing some of the splicing and start putting some of the MSTs or multi-port devices in. But if those go in, they have to be tested along the network all the way back to the pop. And if that entire connection is not done, built out, then it doesn't necessarily have. Um, it's not really. That's not slowing us down. It's just the next. It's just the next stage of the process. At the same time, the sooner that Syracuse has a copy of the circuit design, they can start to, put resources in place to take action.
Yeah, I guess my concern here would be that we're undermining their efficiency because, but I don't know if that's the case, if it's the same crews that do that or while they're in place doing that or not. So that would be my only concern. So, but
Um,
I
I don't
could,
think so, but Brad might could jump. Brad can jump in.
yeah, I mean, and Sean could even chime in on this a little bit. What's really undermining their efficiency now is the electric make-ready work.
Mhm.
In terms of the splicing, Sean, it would be better for your splicing staff to have large chunks of work, just same as your mainline staff. Um, to have large chunks of work rather than kind of jumping around and splicing this and then having to come back later and splice in a different piece to get us back to the pop. If they can have long, nice runs of splice work, that's where they're going to become efficient, Graham.
Mhm.
Yeah, the big issue with having it broke up like this is I mean, the splicing is simple. And yeah, we can go out and put a tap in somewhere, but then it becomes very inefficient because then they have to go back to different areas to test through areas that we don't have fiber up yet.
Okay.
So it becomes very inefficient if we have to just spot check, throw it. The taps, the splices are not a big part of the process. They're not extremely time consuming because there's not a lot of work involved in the splice, but then the testing and making sure everything goes back to where it needs to go without everything in place, then we'll have to go back and do it at another point, and it becomes very inefficient and costly.
Yeah, and our idea was that we would have the whole thing so that you could do it efficiently as a vendor. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sean and I talked earlier this week. I think in a perfect world, you would spend 2 years doing all the electrical make ready, the permitting, getting all the poles ready. And then we've done that for the 300 miles of the project. Then we hand it to a construction company, we bid it out, and they just roll right through everything and just go. The the reality is we have, I don't know, 50 pole applications, each range up to 150 poles. And they're just not, it's not the electrical make ready contractors. It's not a fast process. Yeah. And
Yeah, and
roadblocks slow down the entire thing. Go ahead, John.
I'll tag onto that just and it's not just I don't know if you mentioned you were on some other boards and stuff for other counties. Broadband, isn't um, just in Dryden happening right now. Madison, we have contracts in Madison County and Livingston County, and they're both struggling with exactly the same thing. And the big problem is these guys that do the make ready packages, there's not a huge amount of them, and they're kind of torn between a bunch of different areas too. So it's not just an area in Dryden that this is affecting. Everybody is having this problem, and everybody's running into the same deadline of 2026. So there's going to be a huge push. So
Yeah, and just, I mean, not to steal the thunder from anything I was going to talk about later, but we have been fortunate with HRS and Danella to have crew commitments. And they've been making good progress. We do have a very workable process in place for the transformer issue now. It's been working well over the last 3 weeks. So we are a lot of those projects, if you will, or poll applications that were kind of in the pending phase are going to be closing out here in the next couple of weeks. So that's nice. In addition to that, by having a better transformer process in place, allowing those two EMR vendors to forecast work a little bit better, both said they were willing to entertain the idea of bringing in more crews. HRS yesterday said they would move another crew or two into market. She was going to let me know the specifics. Danella wasn't as committal, but was certainly open to the idea. So that's I know we've been having these meetings for a long time now, and I've been preaching it. Make ready is going to be our challenge.
Yeah, I think the unique thing we learned probably in the last 2 months with the transformers is you could have a 150 pole permit application, of which there's like 40 of these. And if 148 poles are ready to go, but two of them need new transformers, we can't do anything on the 148 that are done. The entire package has to be completed before it gets signed off and then moves to the next step and then moves to us. So um, one or two little things like a transformer here or there, or a pole replacement, or they need a special pole or special permission, um, can slow down a huge area of town from getting constructed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of surprises, just repeatedly. The last part of this is the electronics. We've now signed off the procurement. We're working through with getting our materials from Calix for the Freeville pop. Um, we want that in market this month so we can get it all set up, but we're probably not going to be using it until February anyway because of the other work that has to happen with construction, splicing, MSTs. But it's better to have it here and ready to go rather than waiting for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we're building a relationship with them too, so that helps.
Yeah, they seem to understand our design pretty well. The Greater Dryden Project RFP. This is as of yesterday. We did request the town board to approve the contractor, and the town board approved the bid from Syracuse Utilities. So we'll continue to work with Sean and his team in the Greater Dryden portion. This is everything else that is in the town of Dryden, from Varna and Sapsucker, Hanshaw, Ellis Hollow on the west side, all the way to Dryden Lake and everything in between. Everything around Route 13, Ringwood, Yellow Barn, all the way to Virgil Road at the Virgil Town Line. It's a huge, huge project. They should get notification from us. Well, right now, Sean's getting notified verbally. The contract will be signed and sent over and get processed over the next week or so. One note on this says 120 days from commence. There's a 45-day business day period to prepare everything for them. But as Brad already said, unless electrical make ready is done, we will not be able to just start the timer on the 120 days. Because if there's no work for them to do, it can't count against the time deadline of the contract. Brad and I can share now or in a little bit on the prioritization of this project. I mean, right now, getting the Freeville extension done is the focus because it's out there. It does cover some MIP houses. Greater Dryden also covers MIP. We're going to focus on the MIP. We're going to focus with Greater Dryden on where we have electrical make ready completed and where we can send the crews to go work. That's the first priority. The second will be in pathways to get to the town of Caroline, because we have to reach Caroline and get them online before the end of the year. The third will be Dryden MIP locations within Greater Dryden. And there's some like in Hammond Hill and by the lake, and they're kind of spread out all over town. And then finally, all of the people who have Spectrum, and we're providing them we're making some competition, giving them a choice. That will be the fourth priority within Greater Dryden. So all that is part of this. Ideally, it's just like run all the way down all these roads and just get everything built. But there may be some prioritization based on those pieces, electrical make ready, getting to Caroline, MIP houses, and then non-MIP houses. So anything I missed on that, Brad?
No, I think you nailed it on the head. Dave's tasked me with kind of mapping that out. So I committed to having that to him today on kind of, we need this leg and this leg first to get to Caroline. Here's the remaining areas in terms of MIP, and then kind of the third bucket of the fillers, the rest of Dryden thereafter.
The good news is a lot of this is either has already been bid out or awarded for electrical make ready, and there are a lot of vehicles out there doing work for us with pole replacements, primarily in tree and forestry work, all over the town of Dryden and all over Caroline. And we know from seeing the trucks, we also know some people call us and say, "Hey, you're in my yard. What's going on?" Um, so it's happening, even though the construction piece, which is the most visible, Syracuse Utilities has our magnets on their vehicles. It's the last one of the last steps before we go live. All the electrical make ready is part of the project too. And finally, in December, the Caroline Hut project was completed, at least as far as the pad, the building, getting it all hooked up and ready to go. Next up will be the electronics and shelves and the connection to the network, which will happen in the spring or even late spring, early summer.
And we're going to put Calix equipment is the goal there.
Calyx for the fiber to the home. I think we might end up using Sienna for the network ring connection, but Brad can confirm that piece.
Yes, that would be the intention. That Sienna gear is better served in that kind of backhaul type scenario.
And have we got electricity there and that piece of it, or to the hut when you say it's
That is
connected?
still in process. The nice egg installation, Graham.
Mhm.
I don't have the timeline for that off the top of my head. I don't know if Mark's on here. Braden and him have been working with Nice Egg closely on that. Good question.
Yeah, I don't have any information other I know that Dryden just approved the payment for the to NICEAG, and so that was made, and they won't do any work until that's done. So that was just done. So I could follow up to see how soon they expect that work to happen, but I hope pretty soon.
It's I'd say it's not a huge rush given how far the Dryden network is from Caroline and actually getting it tuned up and plugged in. I mean, everything's a rush, but even with that, we're prioritizing. And that project kind of lives on its own until we plug into it. So it can get done sooner. It doesn't have to get done like immediately, like other parts of it.
Great.
All right, this is what I shared with the town board last night, that it will be an enormous challenge to reach this MIP goal by the end of the year. This is 2,711 homes, 147 miles of fiber, and then do 400 installations to MIP homes all before the end of the year. It's not impossible, but it's a lot of things have to happen right repeatedly for the next 11 and a half months. Talked about the phases already, Freeville and Dryden and Caroline. The challenges, I think from the count I looked at this week, we're looking at about 4,900 poles that have to be replaced or repaired or prepared for us. Some of those are done and ready to go. Some of them are being worked on right now, and some of them we're still bidding out and still doing design work on. We talked about transformer acquisition as an issue. As Brad mentioned, we think we have a good plan around that. There will be storms. It's still only January 15th. Um, that will delay us, whether by taking crews out of Dryden to go work on storm repair or if there's actually storms they just can't work. If it's 0 degrees and 30-mile-an-hour winds, they might not be as productive. Design work, telco moves, all these things might impact electrical make ready. Next one, there continues to be a cleanup from Hunt. A year ago, we were still working with Hunt, but since then, we've identified that there are entire segments of the map where there was no permitting and no pull permits. So we now have to go in and do like these. Brad and Carlos and I looked at the map, I think on Wednesday. It's a little bit like a Dalmatian where there's all these spots where it was just like left off. Now I have to send electrical make ready crews in to go and make 7 poles ready over here or 10 poles ready over there. So we can't make these long connected runs. It's, it's impossible. And it doesn't really do much to figure out why this happened, what they were doing, what they weren't doing. But the fact is there are gaps in the design that we have to go back and fill in, and we can't complete and hand it off to construction until these electrical make ready gaps are filled.
Are any of those gaps in Freeville or I mean the Dryden piece, or is this only in Caroline, or where are we seeing these?
It's right here, like on Dutcher Road, not far from where Tony lives.
Okay.
There's like 10 poles that were just never put in any pole application.
Okay.
It's like we could spend the rest of our lives trying to figure out why that happened. But the fact is it happened, and we can't attach those poles until they're made ready. And we can't make them ready until it goes through the entire process with Labella and NYSEG and our contractors.
Okay. Dave, my understanding is that we did an audit of a lot of this stuff. I thought the audit was complete, so we should know where all those issues are, or or is it still you're
The
not
audit
sure?
was the audit was for the network that was built, not for the plan that Hunt had basically handed off to us when they left. It said that here's what we've already done.
Mhm.
And that's been a lot of back and forth with Vantage, boots on the ground in Dryden, looking at the network and the materials that we received from Hunt, trying to line up reality with what was planned, um, and mapping all the permits as well as all the highway department permits from the different towns, municipalities, the county, and the state.
And Graham, that was one of the first things that we did when we stepped in was identify, at least, in electric make ready world, where those gaps were and got those on pole permits, as soon as we could. Those Dalmatian spots, if you will, are working their way through the process. And most of them are through the engineering design, or probably about 50% of them are through the engineering design and out to bid. So that's good news that we're filling in some of those gaps, or at least those gaps are in the bid process. The other handful are towards the end of engineering design with a third-party approved NYSEG vendor.
Well, following on Graham's question, is this problem pervasive throughout the project, or is it in the complicated parts of Dryden?
Anecdotally, Caroline was a lot more logically put together with the permits. The weird there is some weird anomalies, but I would say there's more weird anomalies in Dryden.
Okay, thank you.
The next part of the cleanup, overlash, we're now assigning work in definitely in Freeville expansion, which is already underway, to go add more fiber where we already have fiber on strand. Because again, whatever Hunt did to design this, they didn't take into consideration the number of houses and units, customers, prospects. And in design, like we just don't have enough fiber. So definitely on Mott Road from the village of Freeville east all the way to like Diedrich's Farm Stand, that section of Mott Road, we're going to be putting more fiber lash to the strand in that overlash area. So we have enough to reach east all the way up to the Cortland county line, and then north on Route 13 to get back into that northeast corner of town. Going west from the Freeville pop, we're going to be putting more fiber in the underground uh, conduit pathways that go from the Freeville pop out to Main Street Freeville, and then southwest to Mill, and then northwest aerial from Mill out to West Dryden. Because again, there's just not enough fiber. And whatever world that Hunt was operating in, they did not plan for enough. So we have to go back and I mean the good news is we already have everything or the underground's already there. We just have to bring it through, but we don't really want to go visit all these handholds a second time.
Yeah.
We have to.
Unfortunately, the conduit has room in it, right? So it's
Yes. Good.
It could be
Yeah.
worse.
yeah,
I mean,
it could be worse if the conduits were full.
I can't imagine boring under any part of the project a second time.
Yeah.
It's so expensive to bore per foot. To go and do it again in the same place is
well, and it's kind of annoying that we have to relash part of the Empire Overlash project because that was a kind of a coup there, right? That saved a bunch of money by doing that overlash, but yeah, now we got to go back and do it again.
there's no shortcuts in fiber.
Yeah.
And finally, the NYDOT, this is how I have it. Brad might correct this, but all of our New York State DOT permits were created and administered in their Hunt's name, not in Dryden, Town of Dryden, or Dryden Fiber's name. That we now then put all those on kind of a frozen hold area where their first response was, well, you have to reapply for all of them. And the applications for NYDOT permits are between like 4 and 14 months. We've been working closely with the state and DOT to move those over into our name. We don't know why they ever wouldn't have been in our name, but just another part of the process to clean up and deal with. Anything else on that, Brad?
No, I will say that once we kind of leverage the state to move the needle on that with the DOT a little bit, the DOT has been very, very helpful in moving some of those as well as giving us guidance on how to expedite things. Not necessarily expedite things, but make sure it's filed right the first time so there's no back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think someone's not muted. I think it's Sean. I think the easiest way to think about this is this was the first time that Dryden did a lot of this work, Dryden Fiber. I mean, this is our first project. But from some of these cleanup items, it seems like it was the first time the Hunt was doing fiber to the home. And they were just doing their best with what they knew. And now we're dealing with cleaning that up. We were talking about circuit design and inventory. We have a full inventory list. We submitted that back in December. It was approved for procurement. The orders went in, and as soon as the orders went in, we heard back some of the items that we need short-term and longer-term throughout the project have anywhere between an 8 and a 14-week lead time. We do have a lot of material on hand, but there are some major items that have long lead times, like up to 3 months. So that will be a challenge ongoing for the next many months. Brad and his team from Vantage, Matt from our inventory team. Matt is our inventory team. They're working on it. And it's just something we're watching to make sure that we have the inventory we need when we need it each day, but also that we're looking at alternatives.
Yeah, just to expand on that a touch, Matt and I have set up weekly calls now with Gray Bar to mitigate some of these logistical risks. And they've been good to work with so far in helping us pull in some lead times. For example, I don't know if Matt's on here, you can keep me honest, but there's like a truckload of strand, coming next week. They're piecemealing in what they can to keep us moving.
Just
Go ahead,
another
Graham.
thing is vaguely like inventory. The IP addresses, did those get purchased? Or are we still looking at purchasing those?
We're still
That
looking at
wasn't
the best way to do
okay.
that. I think what we need to do next is Amanda and I have to put a resolution to the board to authorize spending up to X amount of dollars per IP address or in total amount, then go to the
Mm,
auction and find that. Looks like it's been pretty stable as far as the rates that we're
pricing.
trying to buy. Um, that is, it's not an immediate like do it this week, but we should do that this quarter, if not the next month or so. All right. MIP scoreboard, 12 months to go. We're not not much over 13.5% on installs. Everything else is very low in who we've reached in the miles completed so far. As I've shared since we put this together a year ago, we'll continue to monitor this and update this. Eventually, we'll have some hopefully trend lines that are showing that we're moving in the right direction. A lot of this is tied directly to construction, which is tied back to let's go make ready. As of today, we're at 349 days, so 11 months and 2 weeks, with a lot to build. Um, Less than a year. Looking back in December, we added 14 new customers, bringing us to 513 or maybe 514, which is not close to the 1,000 we expected, but we also did not expect to have to stop and redesign the entire network for 7, 8, 9, 10 months in parts of it. I'm currently assessing what 2026 is going to look like. Uh, it's hard to say. It could be anywhere from 500 to up to 2,000, depending on how fast we get things constructed. Definitely have demand, and I'll show that in the next slide. As of today, in Dryden, we already have 625 people signed up, which is more than we currently have live. And on top of that, another 182 in Caroline. So that gives us 807 pre-registered prospects as of today, as of yesterday. So we get everything green, we get those people scheduled, we will be at close to 1,300 customers. Now, given the number of households that will be opening up, at our current 30% take rate, um, we'll be right around 2,000 customers by the end of the year with our current take rate. Not even like doing much more marketing, just the steady marketing we've been doing and our current take rate within what we have available. We would expect to see 2,000 customers by the end of the year. It's hard to project when that will happen because we don't know when construction will be completed and handed over to marketing and sales and installations to go do that work. Definitely not this month. So that's where we are with what December looked like, but also what we're looking forward to this year. Any questions on demand, customer base? The count column has the number as of yesterday, and the plus is how many new ones we've added in the last month. So in Freeville expansion, that's 900 households. We already have 10% of them already signed up ahead of time. And as we go down the line, you'll see there's been a huge boost within Ellis Hollow, Snyder Hill, which is not a huge neighborhood. 17 new people signed up there in the last month.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping those plus numbers would be a little higher with the push, because the tax information went out in the tax bills and all that. But
Yeah, it's probably the same part of the customer curve that's already signed up throughout the town.
right.
Is like,
Yeah.
I already signed up, I'm already waiting.
Yeah.
Um, so 60 is pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have.
I'm not complaining. It's pretty good, but
Yeah. Hey,
And
Dave.
like, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, sorry. I'm just so Caroline, to take advantage of the grant, we need to get about 100 more people signed up.
Yeah, it's 272 when you're at 182 right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So um, across the board, keep shaking the tree, talk to people, get it in the newsletter, social media, let people know what's going on. I don't have anyone from Net Integrity on today, but we're scheduling pretty rapidly, like 3 to 5 days from when they sign up, if they're in the green zone and they're owner occupied. If they're a renter, we get sign off from their property owner, landlord. Again, from that point, scheduling is happening pretty quick, 3 to 5 days. Uh, they're ready. The Clarity Connect is very ready to handle 500 to 2,000 installs. They're just kind of treading, waiting for us to have more green zone for them. Um, Moving through the projects, I've updated this. Freeville expansion is now in step 3, design book to winning bidder. The construction partner is building partially. They're building where they can build, but where they can't build because of electronic ready, they're kind of in the yellow. They're delayed on splicing, but that's all interrelated to construction from where we thought they would be right now. Greater Dryden has been awarded as of last night, and Caroline, it's not necessarily delayed. We would have liked to have been awarded this. This will be awarded, or the bids will be opened on February 5th, which is about 3 weeks from now. And then we'll award that on February 12th. So ideally, moving everything through here, everything gets to be green before the end of the year. With step 8, ensuring firm has shared information with our installation partners so they're ready for installs. Any questions on construction status per individual project? Okay. Let's go to team reports, and we'll start with Amanda or Matt with customer base.
Yeah, so Amanda's handing this off to me this month, so I'll speak to it here.
Welcome.
Not many surprises from what we've been doing lately. Added 16 different residential customers. We lost 2 to moving out of the service area. We got 1 more commercial customer in this month. And interestingly, one of the residential customers who came on in December originally came on to Dryden Fiber in February of last year, and left in September to go back to go to Spectrum. I don't know exactly why the reason was, but she came back in December because she said she wasn't happy with Spectrum. So, little customer sort of testimonial there for you. But the additions here are about what we've been doing the last several months to half a year. So no surprises here.
That's good to hear. I know Spectrum has been being very aggressive, going after people who switched away and offering them like some unbelievably cheap deals, but they're all like temporary deals, all like, this price for a year kind of thing.
Yeah, I was also wondering if that was what was happening in that situation.
But the fact that they came back so quickly means that they probably were told something and then it didn't come. They found out it wasn't what they said it was going to be, right? So, would be my guess. But but I know I have had several neighbors and other people I know that have switched away from Spectrum that, they've been getting some interesting offers. Spectrum has really been pushing it. And the other thing they've been pushing, which really annoys me, is their and this has been nationally, they've been doing this, is their fiber powered internet, because when I switched away, that was one of the things she tried to tell me, was that they deliver fiber over coax, and I'm like, okay. I tried not to laugh at her, but I'm like, I know what they're saying. Their backbone is fiber, but what they're delivering to the house is coax. And but they've really been pushing this fiber powered internet theme in their advertising and everything else. And your average person doesn't really know the difference.
I mean, that's true. I think that's true. I did try to. I talked to someone who lives in Cayuga Heights or Lansing, a village of Lansing, who was dealing with the same thing. They tried a few other options um, of getting the Spectrum fiber powered coax cable service. They're not very happy. They want to know when we're going to be in
In
the
Lansing?
in Lansing, in the village of Lansing. They're like, Lansing does border town of Dryden. It's not that far. Like, let me get Dryden and Caroline done first. So there's definitely demand beyond our borders. So one of the things that I'm interested to have the broadband committee think about is right now we have 389 silver, 62 gold, 41 platinum. That's about 80% silver, 12% gold, and the remaining 8% in platinum. Um, on the technology side, what Scott will tell us is that uh, no one is going to be using everything they need, everything they're buying right now. Like a lot of it is just like I want to have it because I want to have it, even if I'm never using 1 gig. Um, what should the mix be? Is 80, 12, and 8 a good mix of the percentages? It looks like the average monthly revenue has increased a little bit, like maybe $1 or two, as we're getting a few more people in gold and platinum, uh, as well as bringing on some more business customers. So something to think about this year in the next 6 months, next 3 months is what is the right mix? Should we do more to promote the higher tiers based on functionality, or do we know like they're probably not going to use it even if they buy 1 gig? At the beginning, I think when we started this, when we had like 20 customers, it was like 95% at silver. So we've definitely had some people sign up for higher tiers. Uh, do we want to continue to market that? Is there a method to do that that feels like it's in integrity with the project? Anything else for Matt or on customer base? All right, Amanda with finance or Matt on finance.
Yeah, no, this one's still me. This is December. This is not showing accounts payable. So that's why there's a lot of notes that says before closing, like very clearly, there's still some steps that need to happen for financial closing, but we'll be doing probably a deeper look into financials and budget and projections at the second meeting in February. So a lot of this will be updated and ready. But a lot of the main piece of the construction, a lot of what was happening, there was in December, there was a lot of engineering, but also make ready costs that got paid in December. So that's a big piece of it. We continue to keep up on accounts receivable and watching once a customer's at 2 months, we start saying, nope, you need to pay. Please pay. Not you need to pay. Please pay. Or there will be a shut off. Usually that gets their attention pretty quickly. So that's pretty much, and the other key for financials is on Tuesday, we close on our last piece of the bond anticipation note that was originally approved in 2022. First money came in 23. So we'll be getting a new influx of cash that will be used to fund the next few months as we wait for the MIP reimbursement to come back. But also, we are working on a second bond anticipation note to fund the remaining pieces due to the original budget was not enough, but the original budget was made in 2019. So there's a lot of things that changed. So that's kind of the high level financial reporting. So, and I should say the MIP, Matt has the MIP reimbursement request for milestone 1 we're within I think 2 or 3 pieces that we're getting in the next day or so to be able to send to New York State to start the process of them reviewing and getting back to us what they need on that side. So that's moving forward also. Do you want to just go to the next slide, and then if there's any questions, I can answer them?
Sure, go for it.
So operating costs, you're kind of like, whoa, what happened in December? One of the things is we budgeted within the town that one of the deputy town clerks would help with billing for 2026 till we hired Matt. So she did that. So basically, Dryden Fiber had to kind of reimburse the town for some salary for her time. So that was a journal entry I had to make. I could have done it all through the year, but it's just easier to do it once. So really the actual operating expenses was 24,890, which is really close to where we were kind of averaging. So that is close. It's just we had this one. So again, there's always going to be spikes in the operating expenses depending on, but if you look at that trend line, yes, it's continuing to go up, but we're also continuing to increase customers and have new responsibilities, new expenses that have to get paid as we continue to grow. So any question on financials with all that information?
It's
Yeah, I don't
great to
blame you.
see.
That's
It's great to see that residential line go above our
Yes.
costs there. So
Yep. And I think
finally,
we would have been at it if I didn't have that one journal entry this month. So we're getting there, but we just have to continue to adjust. So Matt's taken over the accounts payable, the billing, and along with the inventory. So we won't have that in 2027. 26. We're in 26.
I think one thing that we don't see on here is that this is the revenue from having 30% of the town built. At the rate of adoption with the other 70% unbuilt so far, the monthly expenses are not going to increase at the same amount as building the last 70% of the project. A factor of this is just to have the lights on, we have to spend a bunch of this money. Now there is some expenses that go up as we have more customers. As we get 1,000 customers or 2,000, or as each individual customer uses credit cards, we have to pay for them. But this is pretty close to the line with only 30% of the available market built out to. I suspect that 12 months from now, when we're at 100% build out, we're going to see the revenue lines be consistently a bit above the operating expenses. That will then allow us to pay for installations and long-term debt, the bands. Thanks, Amanda. All right, Integrity put together this customer service. Nothing major. The only thing I want to point out is the ticket to customer ratio down here is showing 12%, which is trending downward. As we add more customers, we are not adding customer support tickets at the same rate. Typically, in most situations, customer support tickets come from first-time customers, new customers. As we have a smaller percentage of customer base is new, most people have been on for multiple months. Once you get past that 30, 60 days, you're just a satisfied customer. You don't really use support very much. And that's what we would expect, is to see that number, that percentage continue to drive down as we grow and not maintain this high 18, 20% of customer count creating tickets. I don't know if there's any other questions or thoughts on customer service I can bring back to Integrity. I saw Graham move his mic, but he's not ready.
well, I lost power here, Dave,
Oh,
or at least it browned out, and NICEX sent us a note. And actually, because I'm running from an iPad, that stayed up. Dryden Fiber actually stayed up. The connection because I have solar, and I think it wasn't enough to kick the solar to say don't put power back onto the grid. So that's how I'm actually still able to speak
Okay.
to you, because the fiber must take those Sienna boxes that we have in our homes must take so little power, and also the plume, that those are working, but nothing else in the house is.
Wow. I'm glad you're
So
prioritizing Santa over everything else.
so
All right. Installs, as we said, 17 installs on the calendar. In December, we lost a few customers. Installs scheduled as of January 1st, as of yesterday now, but for the month of January, 13, and five already complete, eight are scheduled. So midway through the month, we already have just about as many as we had all of last month. Some of that is just cleaning up through the tax letter. We were like, oh, I didn't realize it was in the green zone. Some of it was just normal, the trickle in that we've already been seeing over the last few months. Blockers, primarily for installation, is just MDU work. We have not made progress on MDUs, just for a variety of reasons. We can talk about those in detail. I think we're looking at that in March, um, because we have other things slated for deeper dive discussions. But the MDUs are a particular challenge for us. I did update the MDU sheets on here. I sent this deck around yesterday when I sent the report to the town board. Um, there's a lot of unit count column, a lot of prospects out here that are not currently able to serve. Some of these are in the green zone today. Some of them are not yet in the green zone, but there are literally hundreds of prospective customers once we figure out how to get in there. Uh, and it's just a matter of many factors: electronics, engineering design, approval of a construction vendor to do the MDU work, which we have out to bid, just negotiation with property owners, showing them what this might look like, a lot of the hands-on work. Each of these, and the next slide actually runs off the slide about 6 more rows. This is one of the main reasons to bring on this account manager position. On both these slides, I've updated the current task owner to have Dave/account manager, who will shepherd these projects through between following up landlords with engineering, with installations, with the tenants, so that way everyone's up to speed on what's going on. Graham mentioned this a few months ago that there was a tenant at One Etna,
yeah.
which is, I think it's even below the sheet here. Um, there's just not enough resources today to reach out to every rental prospect who's signed up that we're negotiating of the current status with their property owner and engineering and construction and installations. I think earlier in this I showed there's 75 renters who signed up that we are working them through this process to get them live.
And I think we've done a better job of customer service here, because now we're actually not leaving them green. We're making them purple so that people can see that, oh,
There's something going on.
there's something going on. So, which I
Yeah.
think is a large improvement. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
I feel like as a customer focus, as part of our mission, renters who sign up should be getting something from us monthly, every other month that says, here's the status of the project.
Yeah.
Here's where what we're working on, how it's prioritized, what our projections look like. But right now, we just don't have the resources to do that kind of outreach to all those renters and ultimately get these things done. There's just some of these, a couple extra phone calls could have an impact to move things forward with some property owners. We're kind of juggling all things at once.
Dave, can you just discuss why we have a red no under 1279 Dryden Road?
Yeah, this is owned by Richard Waywack, who also owns 1062 Dryden Road. He has been in the green zone for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And it was we'll get to it to figure out how to get service to 1062 for a year and a half. And in that time, he started construction on 1279. He is moving forward with, I think he's almost done. He's supposed to have tenants moving in, I think, this quarter. And at some point last fall, probably in September, October, he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going with Spectrum. They're available, and the building opens. I need to have service for them." And so far, of what I've seen Dryden Fiber can do for 1062 Dryden Road, I don't think you guys can get it done.
Okay.
So he's potentially a future customer for us. He has designed that building to be a lot more prepared for build out than the other buildings, and especially for some of the other ones like 12, 14, 16 Lake Street, which is completely sealed off. Every unit is completely sealed off. There's no runs, there's no conduit, there's no way to get to those except exterior. Willowbrook, same thing. 50 units with like a 3 foot concrete pad between the floors and like cinder blocks. Very difficult to get through. He's built 1279 with all kinds of access to each of the individual units for service in the future, but he didn't believe that we would be able to get it to him, which he might have been right about by January 1st of this year. All right, marketing. As of the first of the year, 514 or so under contract, over 1,670 requests right now, 52 added in the month of December. 11 of those were in the green. 706 are what's available. What happened over the last 3 months is I went through and scrubbed the entire list of inbound requests, and we had about 175 duplicates that had signed up more than once. A few people had signed up more than twice. I think one person signed up 5 times. So scrubbing that down, that's why the number of non-available has dropped. Some of it is because some of those people who are now in the green zone have signed up, but a lot of it is just removing duplicates from that count to know what we actually have available, or who signed up, who we could service if they were in the green zone. Website visits is very wonky. Huge numbers from overseas. China continues to hit our website pretty hard, as well as a few other countries in the Southeast Asia. Not super useful right now. We are seeing some traffic, but we're not really seeing the website to say like these user counts are translating into these signups. Probably something else to hand to the account manager to like take a deep dive and see like when we do this reporting, how do we extract some of the countries out and just focus on US or New York based inbounds for site traffic. Any questions on marketing? Yeah, that's the raw numbers. I also want to report on the Refer a Friend program, which we started back in September. Between September 17th and the end of the year, 40 customers included a name or another source like Dryden Fire Department out of 241 service requests. So not even 20%. Of those 40, 11 became customers that were in the green zone. Of those, only 8 of them were actually referring other existing customers as their referral source. So we did pay out those referrals, $25 credits, total of $200. In that time period, we added 37 new customers. In the same 3-month period prior to that, we had added 48 customers. So my synopsis at the bottom is that it had limited to no impact to date. We tried it. We didn't add a new green zone. We thought people who lived in the green zone would tell their friends who lived in the green zone, and it just did not translate to that. Perhaps we could have done a little bit more or a lot more to market this, but in general, we didn't see it have a huge impact. Any questions on the Refer a Friend program?
Guess my only
Or-
question is are we continuing?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Oh, okay.
Should we continue this program that doesn't cost us a lot? It's nice to see who is referring. The original Refer a Friend blog post says it ends at the end of the year, so we can say like, yeah, it ended. We tried it out. We've learned some things, or we can just keep it going, and maybe at some point it becomes a bigger incentive piece as we get more green zone.
I guess it depends how much overhead is it to run it and how much overhead is it to remove it. And let's just do the easy thing here. So would be what I advise.
Amanda,
So with the limited number of responses, really at the end of the month, I wait till close to the end of the month and I look at like, okay, who signed up this month and did they have a customer? I think the one key is all the signups I go and look to see if they had a name, and then I have to go look and see, is that person already a customer? And then go and okay, yep, they are, add the coupon, it's fine, and then make the notation so we have the records. It it might take a half an hour, 45 minutes. Again, I always wait to the end of the month. I'm probably will hand it off to Matt uh, to start taking that over this month, probably this month, because he might be able to do it right at the same time he's adding the customer. Um, I wouldn't say it's a huge, it's just some digging into it.
And where have we advertised this, David? It's just on the website or is it in the?
there was an email blast that went to all customers when the program started around the beginning of October, and it's on the website. So it's not like we're like communicating with our customer base every week
Mhm.
saying, hey, don't forget refer a friend, refer a friend. It's not in the bills they're getting from us, the e-bills. So
But we haven't told them. We would have to tell them that we're going to discontinue this program. So
we could tell them that we're discontinuing. I think there's a combination of things, including we know that for people to know things exist, they have to hear it 7 times. And most people probably only heard it 1 or 2 times. It was like, oh, that's a thing. I didn't read it this month. Um, that could be one factor. We could just say like we're gonna actually do an email to our customer base every month and continue to remind them about this. Uh, that's one option. Could change the value of it. That might change the impact of it. We could leave it as it is. We could just pause. We're going to do a deeper dive in marketing scheduled for our March or April meeting. Discuss like, do we want to try this again in the spring when we have more green zone?
yeah, it seems that it would be more effective if we've got everything. But
Yeah, I mean, I
I
feel
don't
that
know.
way, although I do see a lot of ads for Point Broadband. They're spending a ton of money on advertising, and they have I mean, talk about Dalmatian before. They have very spotty coverage for Dryden. Like they're in certain places. They are not building to every place. They're installing where they're built right now, and they're not building anything in addition to that. So like, but they're spending a ton of money on advertising to make sure people who are in their version of the green zone know they exist.
Yeah, and Starlink they've down their prices by quite a bit. They're pretty competitive. I sent you them and their marketing stuff just recently. So
Yeah, I just saw that. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Um, the other thing is we're pretty focused on construction versus customer acquisition. I mean, given that we already have between 900 and 2,000 people who we expect to sign up, 900 already signed up, and another 1,100 that we are most likely to sign up as soon as they are in the green zone. I feel like demand is not a huge issue today, given where we are with build out. Uh, there's also all the low-hanging fruit from MDUs, so that could be that focus too. I think when we hire on this account manager, we'll have a lot of different places where they can go and play and work on things to improve the customer experience, including bringing more customers online. And that might include pushing out more messaging to our customer base. We have not sent a weekly or monthly newsletter to our customer base. Some of it is resourcing, some of it is just like, do they want to hear from us every month more than they're already hearing from the Town of Dryden newsletter?
I don't think we want to be doing that, or if it would be optional in. So, but then
Yeah.
somebody needs to keep that communication. I think when we're under construction, I don't think we want to do that unless we open up large swaths that might be near the people. But
Yeah. All right. Brad, are these your engineering updates, or did you put them on a different deck?
well, can we just back up, Dave? Do we need to make a decision here, or will we do that at the next meeting?
We can do it. We can do it next
Or
week, or we can do it now. I mean, any feeling from the Broadband Committee on Refer a Friend, which officially ended at the end of the year 2 weeks ago.
I think if we've officially ended it, then I would say let's just leave it let's leave it ended, and that would be my view. We do need to tweak the website if that's the case. So.
Yeah, I can update the blog post. The form that people use to fill out does not particularly say the person you're referring will get $25. And I think it's kind of nice to see who people are hearing from.
Oh yeah, no, I would keep that. I would keep that portion of it. Yeah. It doesn't hurt to have it. So
Good.
yeah, how do you hear from us? That's all. That's great information. So. Tony, do you have an opinion?
No, I mean, yeah, not really.
No.
I mean, it's yeah.
Kevin, Arthur,
Not a lot
Jason.
of people are taking advantage of it, so
No.
Let's just leave it ended. We can revisit it later.
yeah.
Cool.
No.
All right, Dan jumped off to drive to Ithaca. Jason or Kevin, you're good with leaving it ended as end of the year?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it's good for me.
Cool. All right. Thanks for that, Graham. All right, Brad, were these the slides or did you put them in the other deck?
No, I put them in this one. This is
All right.
what I added.
Anything we
Thanks,
didn't already
Dave.
cover that we want to cover a second time? Or we got the
The only thing I would add, because we have captured all these points already, is just kind of for the Public Broadband Committee meeting group here. A lot of, we talk about having to have refiled some applications in Dryden from the electric make rate perspective, or not necessarily refile, but apply for areas that were missed. So those are working their way through the queue, as I had kind of discussed before. But on just some brighter news, all of the Dryden applications that were previously submitted, so Dryden, I'll just pick on some numbers here, 13, 18, 11, Dryden 21. They, with the transformer issue largely resolved, are working their way through the process quite well now. And I'm anticipating all of the Dryden applications that are currently out for construction to be completed, I would say probably no later than end of February. So that is some good news. We will still have some donut holes, certainly from the applications we had to come back and file. But we're getting a lot of those wrapped up now that we've kind of circumvented the transformer issue. So one token of good news.
Nice. Thanks. I mean, if nothing else, there are a lot of new polls in town. Many.
And just to expand a little bit more on that, because they were running into the transformer issues and not being able to close out some of those work orders or item numbers on those specific applications, there's been a significant amount of work done in Caroline too. So just another note there.
Do we have numbers of which ones we need and how far we've progressed with that? I think you said there was around 215 that we would need, and 37 last time. Last time there was around 37 of them. I got a note here that we had gotten, but we still would need 178.
Oh, the 25
Oh, yeah.
KVA.
So
Yeah.
to just educate you guys a little bit on the process that's been implemented to deal with this transformer issue. Dave did a nice job getting the right folks at NICEAG's attention on this. And essentially, we established a weekly recurring process on Mondays. Both of our EMR vendors, HRS and Danella, tell NICEAG what they would need for transformers the following Monday. On Wednesday, NICEAG determines if they're going to be able to handle that logistically or not. On Thursday, if they're not able to handle that logistically, they either say, yes, you have the transformers, or maybe you have 6 of the 12 transformers. And for the other 6 that they don't have, they're giving us waivers to just transfer the old transformer over. So it's really not slowing things
Okay.
down anymore. So that number that we had targeted, Graham, isn't necessarily true anymore because they're giving us waivers, where they can't provide them as we need them.
Okay, so NICEAG sort of decide, oh, we don't have enough, we can't upgrade, well, we aren't going to hold you up for it. So you just move the transformer. Oh,
Correct.
that's really great news. So do we think the transformer issue sort of has been resolved then for future, so it won't be holding up Sean's group and that kind of thing doing construction?
I would say at this point, yes. The process has only been in place for about 3 weeks, but it's been working really well so far. But yes, it's been working well. I think we've largely mitigated that risk.
Wonderful.
That is really good news.
Brad, is that resulting in a lot of waivers, or are they meeting supply?
Kind of depends on the week. Some weeks I see this whole application they got waivers for, and some weeks they didn't need any waivers. It's kind of a moving target just based on what we hear from NICEAG.
Okay. Thank you. They'll be coming back later to make those transformer improvements, right? Is what they basically are saying. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean,
At some point, they will need
Yeah.
to
Okay.
upgrade them
Okay.
as we plug more and more things into the wall. We need more electricity. I think big picture, living in New York, it makes sense to do it at the same time. Costs money to go to these places, and NICEAG has to charge us for the delivery of service, including the poles. Like they're not the power supplier, they're just power transport. And that includes poles and transformers and all the other things in between. So if we can help reduce the cost of replacing transformers system wide, it should.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to keep our electric bills lower, but if we're already there because we need the access to the poles, and we can double dip that labor, we should.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great.
HR and admin. Amanda, you have a couple things on here.
Yeah, just continue. Our initial posting for the account manager position ended on the 9th. We didn't have any applicants, so we reposted that back to the civil service website till the end of the month. So if you know anybody that's looking for a change, we are looking. And then the other thing I mentioned earlier about moving all the billing tasks to current Dryden Fiber staff. So Matt's taken that over. So that'll be great to have. Well, it's also good to have the town clerks that have knowledge because people do walk in, but then have someone that's really focused on it is great. So that's basically it for this slide.
Any questions on Dryden Fiber HR and admin?
Do we think it's because we haven't advertised the account manager position enough, or was it in the newsletter? I don't recall. So
it was in the newsletter. I don't know if it was in the letter to the residents. It's on our social media and website. It will be in the February newsletter again. I put it on my LinkedIn. I don't think I put it in the Dryden. I think I put it on the Dryden Fiber LinkedIn too. So it's out there a couple different places. Immediately after posting it on our website, I got 3 different recruiters say they have plenty of great people who are excited about this job, candidates. I doubt that any of them are in Dryden or even Tompkins County. One of the recruiters is based in Texas. I also had 3 other people who said they're interested if it was a remote job, but it is not remote.
Is a portion of it remote, or is it? I mean, would that help if we altered it to that kind of?
Not given the work with the MDUs. Like we need someone who can go on site, talk to landlords, work with engineering, work with installations. I mean, they don't have to be here at the office every day, but they should be in Tompkins County or Dryden a couple days a week. Yeah.
I also wonder, we did post it over the holidays. So that could have had a difference. I know civil service does post things to their positions to Indeed. So it's there, but obviously it's kind of an unusual position for a government position. So it is kind of a like we had to write a job description for this because it's not anything common to at least Tompkins County. So I think we just need to keep looking for the right person that's going to help the whole team continue to and our customers.
Cool. Thanks, Amanda.
Mhm.
Quick legal update. Green is done. So the other yellow check mark means it was done more recently, which is dig safe monitoring contract. It says NDVD on bid requirements. This is approved. The cutover right now is scheduled for the 21st, which is next Wednesday. That'll go over to USIC. We're still working on the Empire Access overlash agreement. That's with our broadband attorney who has a relationship with Empire Access to get them to sign off on the overlash agreement. Empire Access did sign off on the reciprocal agreement for EMR moves, which I think are in Caroline or on the western side of Dryden. Caroline, Dryden, IMA, there's a few edits left to make, and then we'll bring that over to Caroline to review the updates to the IMA. And then our network maintenance and repair agreement and determination of a bid process is with our broadband attorney to figure out how we're going to handle network maintenance and repairs. Now, pretty successful 2026 or 2025 on the legal side. The big highlights were the Point Broadband agreement, the Bernie Cornelius agreement to cut through his property up on Ringwood to Yellow Barn, and making progress with Empire Access, as well as all the other legal issues regarding the GDA. Any questions on legal? One item that doesn't really have a home is in our bond legislation. Current New York State law for bonds for fiber optic or broadband are 10-year bonds. With the date of the bond starting not at the end of construction, but as the bond is taken out, which is just not enough time given the lifespan of fiber optic infrastructure. Dan put on his message in the chat that he's plugging our bond extension legislation with our state senator. He's working with both the state assembly and state senator Webb on modifying New York state law for the bonds for fiber optic infrastructure from 10 years to 30 years, which will be more in line with a payback period based on our finances, but also the lifespan of the equipment. Put together about a 3-page document with just research from the industry and from manufacturers. When they sell strand and fiber, they expect it to be out there for 30 to 40 years. And the band now and the bond in the future is primarily paying for the construction of fiber in the field. It's January. This is the time to get it into the conversation in Albany. We'll keep watch of that. We will need to have some change of this, otherwise it becomes difficult to see the pathway to maintaining the finances of this in like 2 to 5 years from now. So we're going to start now. Amanda's been working closely on this with me and with Dan Lamb. And did I miss anything on the bond conversation in the legislation?
I don't believe so. I think you got it.
Okay.
And the only
Any
other
questions?
legislative thing is to try and get us treated like a a spectrum or NICEAG where we can hang things on a building without having to go through easement stuff. So, which I believe Dan said last time that he had brought it back up with them. So
Yeah, that's what he did.
It definitely
Mhm.
solves some problems,
Yeah.
but it doesn't solve all the problems. With any complex MDU, which is beyond single family homes and duplexes, where we are running into a utility room and then bringing in some kind of electronics that have to be plugged in somewhere to provide service. Whether the state allows us to do that or not, it's just not going to happen without the property owner's relationship. We can't just like go around them and like bust into their utility room and install stuff. It's really single family homes
Yeah.
where sometimes uh, they just delay or deny us access to providing service. I talked to a few landlords about this. A handful of them are like, listen, I have a historic home that I've spent a lot of time renovating, and Spectrum came and just drilled holes all over my house on the exterior, and I don't want you to do that. So I want to have control over where and when and how you do that. If this New York State law passed that gave us that same um, access that Spectrum has, then we would be putting ourselves in a position to be just as non-customer friendly to property owners, landlords as Spectrum is. So
Yeah, but it does fix our totally non-responsive ones, which there are some of those. But
it does for
it
those.
fixes small segment. It doesn't hurt, and I don't think it hurts us. It just puts us in a better position. So
It's a different position. It's
yeah.
still to be determined if we're good neighbors if we go around landlords. I mean, it would be better if they just changed the law to not let Spectrum do it either. Um, we did have a customer sign up like on a Friday afternoon, and then it was a renter. And when I followed up with them, they were like, "Oh, I found another path. Like I didn't want to wait for my landlord to sign off on something. I needed a service
Mhm.
today." Like, all right. I
Yep.
mean, that's going to happen. But I think that's the first one that they literally said, like, I moved to this unit. There was no internet. I needed something immediately as a student or as a person who works from home.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to wait for my landlord property owner to sign off. Everyone else, like, basically has Spectrum and wants to switch to us, but they can't. It's more rare. It's much more rare that they are new to the building, new to the rental unit, and they're coming in clean. Like, no service at all of it. Still have not had any feedback from anyone on the Broadband Committee about the signs and updating what we have on the signs. It's not really the best time of year to be putting out signs on the ice, snow, and frozen ground. So we do have a marketing conversation planned for later in the winter. This could be part of that conversation, if and how we modify the conversation, the names, the taglines on the signs. That's it for the agenda or the document of the report. On the agenda side, um, just want to focus on what's coming up next for topics. January, we are going to have this um organizational meeting on January 23rd, which is next Friday. We're going to look at all the things that we have to decide on each year or each quarter. I put together a list. Amanda has a list. I want to bring it to the Public Broadband Committee to talk about what things we need to be checking in on, how we're going to check in on those things to get us organized. There's just some decisions we make that are like, we're going to do this for the next period of time. But this organizational meeting allows us to check in and say, like, do we need to assess these decisions and make sure we're going the right direction? The February 2nd meeting would be the annual budget. And then the March is MDUs and apartment buildings, mobile home parks. And finally, April is marketing. That's the current projected second meeting of the month conversation topics. Then other things might come in too. Any questions on the upcoming topics as we have planned? Or amendments, prioritization changes?
No.
Cool. I think that's it. We are right at our 90-minute time. We'll see some of you, most of you, all of you next Friday for the Dryden Public Broadband Committee second meeting of the month, which is our organizational meeting for the year. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
Dave.
Yep.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.